In this video, we're going to go over how you can make this kind of beautiful website all within Canva. But it's not just any website. This website is going to allow you to actually put in a calendar so people can book straight in for a call with you if you're a service provider or a coach or a consultant. And I'm also going to be showing you how you can embed a Typeform so that you can actually start collecting email addresses and growing your email list. Canva has had some really cool updates to its website builder functionality, and I'm really excited to share those with you in this video. So let's go ahead and get started. So within Canva, we're just going to select any website template just so we can take a look at a few things you're going to do differently with a website design compared to a regular Canva design, which is what you might have been used to previously. So we're going to be doing things a little differently here, and I'm actually going to be providing you with a Canva website template that you can find in the description of the video, which basically features all of the things we're going to talk about, from embedding videos and GIFs and moving elements and embedding YouTube videos, and also scheduling and putting in type forms and scheduling calendars. All of this stuff is going to be within this template, so you can just go ahead and download that and use it as reference if you'd like, but we're also going to go through all the individual elements in this tutorial. So I'm just going to jump back to the original template here so we can have a look at a few things that are different. So first of all, you're designing for a full screen experience this time. So always remember to have lots of extra space on the sides. And if you're ever in doubt of how this is going to look full screen, just zoom into it so you can be sure exactly how giant things are going to be. So for example, this 18 size font, I think is going to be too big once it's full screen. But again, you just test things out. Once we go through to publish, you can look at it at a full screen experience, and that will give you a really good idea of how things look. But that is quite different from designing other things within Canva. So just keep that in mind. You can head on over to File and Show Margins at any point, and it's going to give you these kind of invisible guides for each of the pages that will help you when you're designing elements, so you can make sure any of your text and main elements remain within this margin. And it will also help you just align things. So this can be a little bit tricky, especially if you're designing from scratch and designing things like this, where, you know, these are not necessarily even in terms of the width of the text and the height of the text. So with things like this, what you can do is, instead of the margins, you can actually select Show Rulers and Guides, or use Shift R on your keyboard, and that'll pull this up. What this does, it allows you to bring in these kind of guides that tell you, okay, this is the center of your website. So we want 4 services on this side, 4 services on this side, and you can get as specific with this as you want. So you can, you know, bring this in. So let's say I was going to bring this up here. Now, anytime I bring in some elements, it's going to snap it into place of where that guide is, which is going to make it really easy for me to make sure that all of these things are really nice and aligned. Now, with that, you can always just bring these back up and they'll disappear, or again, just use Shift R on your keyboard and it'll bring these up and bring them back. So that's going to be a really big lifesaver when you're designing something for your website. The other thing I would say is try grouping elements together. So here we have, 8 different elements, but technically it's a lot more than that, because this has, this solid circle, it has the number, and it has the text. So at any point, if you can just go through to grouping some elements together, it will really assist you in how you can use the positioning functions within Canva. So what I mean by that is, let's say, things are a little bit out of whack here at this point, and I want to make sure things are in one line. So now I can select these 4 things because I've grouped these elements together. I can head on over to position, and I can either tidy them up horizontally, vertically, or just click tidy up, and it's going to do horizontal and vertical tidy ups all at the same time. And now I could just bring these straight down. So that is a huge lifesaver when you've got all these different design elements on one page. The next thing you might notice is that at this stage, I'm sort of designing this similar to the way I would a presentation, where each of these is an individual page. But you can also click this down arrow, and it's going to allow you to design in the full screen vertical experience. So now you're designing it as a website, and at any point when you're clicking into each section, you can extend it or bring it back and make it more narrow. And then again, we can show the pages, and now it's going to be a nice little narrow page. Now, one other thing you'll notice is that all of these are nicely named, and that's something that people aren't really in the habit of doing in Canva design documents. But the reason you really want to pay attention to this when you're designing websites is because these words here will act as your navigation menu and your menu bar once you have a website, if you decide to have a menu. So for example, if I was going to put some customer testimonials over here, now I would just rename this as testimonials, which will make it really nice once I've got a little menu. And it also makes it really easy when you're interlinking things. So for example, at this stage, this learn more button doesn't have a place to go if somebody clicks it. But if I go over to link, I can either put a hyperlink here, which will go to an external web page, or I can go through to the pages in this document and say, hey, when somebody clicks this, make sure that it jumps them down to the portfolio section of the website, and then it's automatically going to underline it. You can turn that on or off depending on what you want, but even when the underline's not there, that is still going to be clickable, and once somebody clicks it, it'll jump them down to the portfolio section of the website. Now, at any point, if you are on the paid plan within Canva, you can change any of these website templates to suit your needs. So you can head on over to styles. If you're not seeing styles here, if you head on over to more, styles will be here and it'll add it to your left-hand sidebar. And then you can change it to your colors until you find a combination that you like if you've got your brand kit set up within Canva. If you're not seeing anything here, just make sure to head over to your brand kit from your home dashboard and you'll be able to set up your color palettes there. And then you can say, apply this to all the pages, and it's automatically going to apply that there. And same with my fonts. So my brand fonts are here and I can apply that to all the pages. And now it's really nice and branded. Of course, I can still go through individually and cycle through different looks for each of the individual sections. So I don't necessarily need to stick with what it's given me, but it's a really nice way to really quickly bring things in line with your own brand colors. Of course, if you're on the free plan, this is just a little bit extra manual labor where you go through and change the colors manually here. So don't worry about it. If you're on a free Canva plan and don't have the style section, it's not an issue. It just is a little bit more time intensive for you to make all those changes manually. So let's now talk about a few cool things of what you can do with your website that you just won't find in the pre-designed Canva template library, starting with putting some videos in your designs. And it actually loads relatively quickly, which is usually the issue with videos and why people don't put them on their website. But because your Canva website essentially loads as a design document, not an actual like WordPress or Squarespace website, it means it's relatively quick even with videos on it. So with your videos, you can just drag them and drop them in here, and then you can reduce the transparency over here so that it brings through the color you had in the back there, which is your nice brand color. And if you head on over to playback, make sure it's on autoplay and then loop. That means that when somebody loads your website, that video is always going to be playing, and it's just going to be nice and subtle in the back there. Now, adding this from within Canva does mean that a lot of the time it's a pro feature. So you'll notice a lot of the videos will have that little crown next to it, but not to worry if you're on a free account. Just head on over to pexels.com and then you can head on over to the video section, put in something like plant shadow, grain texture, gradient, anything like that. Head on over to videos and you can just download this straight from within Pexels. So I'm just going to click into it. I'm going to download a slightly higher quality so that it's a nice big video, but not too large that the file is so big that Canva doesn't like it. That's still a relatively good size file. I'm going to come back into my website and I can just bring that straight into my uploads folder, and it'll be in the video section. I've already got it there a few times, so now I can go through and just replace my video in the back there. Now I could actually go through and twist this as well. So if I bring it in like this, I can twist it and just right click on it and say replace background, which is going to give it that nice horizontal feel. But just keep in mind that we are not just designing for desktop here, we're also designing for mobile experiences. So sometimes what happens with websites like this is you go through to publish it and then it looks a bit wonky on mobile where it has like a weird strip at the top and the bottom. If that ever happens, what you need to do, especially with videos, I would just put in an actual vertical video. So in this case, I would just twist it and stretch it out and use that as the video in the back. So I'm just going to go ahead and replace the background. That way you'll see that it's a nice big long video. So on a mobile screen, it'll still cover the whole surface area, but it'll serve the purpose of just having some sort of a video in the back there on desktop as well. So let's now jump on over to the template I've provided you with in the description of the video so that we can check out a few things, starting with how to embed YouTube videos in your design. So if, for example, you are actually using this kind of website as a portfolio and you want to add in some samples of your work like I have over here, where I've added in some GIFs, and then I also wanted to add in samples of my video tutorials if maybe this website is something I'm presenting to a client who might be hiring me to do educational content on their behalf, I can just embed a YouTube video. So let's just add an extra page here. And then if you head on over to more, you can head on over to YouTube, and then you can search for your videos over here. So I could just search for my name, or if you know the exact link as well, we can do that a slightly different way. So this is my video over here. So I've done that. If you don't have it searchable because maybe the video is actually unlisted, so it's not actually public on YouTube because maybe this is a video that's only for your client's eyes, then what you can do, instead of using the YouTube integration, you can use the embed integration over here. You can put in whatever link you want and it will embed that for you. And this is also how we're going to be embedding our Calendly link and our Typeform. So Typeforms essentially act the same way as Google Forms, but they're just a little bit neater in my opinion because they give you one question at a time. So somebody actually has to fill that out, press enter, and it goes to the next question and next question and next question. So if you head on over to the Typeform website, you'll be able to sign up for a free account, which will allow you to set up a form with a maximum of 10 questions. And you're also limited to the number of responses you can receive every month. So if you think you're going to go over this and you like the look of Typeform versus something like Google Forms, then explore their paid plans. So once you're on the inside, you can just head on over to create Typeform. You can create one from scratch, or you can use a beautiful template. So that can be things like, surveys, it can be an application, lead capture, registration, quiz, anything pretty much. And you can go through to preview these so you can see exactly what they look like. They're pretty cool. Some of them will be only available on the Pro plan. So I'm just gonna jump on over to one that I've already created, which is just really, really basic with just my brand colors and a couple of questions that I might ask a potential client. So it just goes through from, hey, let's get started. What's your name? Nice to meet you. What's your website you can check out? So it will just go through and ask for one-word answers. And then I've also created one that's a checklist, which basically says which tools are you using in your business. I've allowed for multiple selection. I've also added an other option so they can give me a different choice other than what's already here. It's not a required question, so this is where you can decide which questions will be required. So for example, their email address will be a required question at the very end. Their name will be a required question, but some of these might be really optional. And then you basically set this up within the settings option and the notifications option to say, when somebody fills this out, send a notification to my email, let me know their responses, and let me check them out. Now you can further integrate this with Calendly, which we're going to look at next. So if I was going to add a new question, you'll notice there's all these different options for phone numbers, for yes or no answers, for drop downs, and there is also an option to integrate Calendly. So you can have a booking system directly within your Typeform. So you can ask people all these questions, and then at the end you can say, okay, book straight in for your consultation. So it's sort of a 2-in-1 deal. So I'm going to show you Calendly next, but just keep in mind you can actually make that a part of your Typeform process. Once you then have your Typeform, you're happy with it, you would publish it, and then you're able to go ahead and share that. I can then copy this link. I can now paste this link straight in here, and it's going to add my Typeform. So that's exactly what I've done with the website template I'm going to be providing you with. And now let's take a look at how to just embed a calendar like we've done with Calendly in case you don't really feel like you need a Typeform. Maybe you're just sending this to clients that you've already spoken with and you just want them to book in for a consultation. So Calendly, if you're not familiar with it yet, is just an awesome tool that basically hooks into your email calendar to get your availability so that it can give people the options to book into your your calendar for a free consultation or a paid consultation. It also manages things like alerts and notifications, reminders of people that their appointment's coming up, and it actually has great functionality just on the free plan. So I've just logged in over here. On their free plan, you can actually only have one active event. So you can create multiple events, you just can't have them all live at the same time. You can go ahead and create something, whether it's in 30-minute blocks or 1-hour blocks, whatever you decide. So in this case, it would just be a one-on-one. You would just give it a name. Location wise, you can decide whether it's going to be Google Meet or Zoom or something like that. You would write in your description, you would give it a link, and then you would also decide on a few things in terms of the notifications and how far in advance people can schedule, the duration of the meeting, whether you want to have custom hours for this. So let's say you only want people to be able to book in afternoons because you don't really want to take client meetings in the mornings, and which days of the week people can book in, all of these things. And then also whether you want to buffer before and after each event. So if you're going to have multiple people booking into this, then you want to give yourself a little bit of leeway. So if it's a 30-minute meeting, you want to make sure that you've got an hour block for it within your calendar. So additional options would be, do you want to ask them some questions? So this could be not just name and email, but do you want to maybe ask them things like what's their website, what's their business about, why are they booking in, those sorts of things. And then you can also add in some notifications 30 minutes prior to the meeting or day before the meeting. And additionally, you could potentially also collect payments for your booking as well. If you don't want to offer these meetings for free, you can set that up as well. So once you've got everything, you would turn this on. In this case, I'm not going to be doing that because I already have one that's turned on, and I'm not allowed to have more than one on the free version. But once you have one that is turned on, you can just copy that link, and we're going to paste it into our embeds over here. And it's going to populate that straight away. And now I can size that down. Obviously, I'm going to be deleting this page. It's looking a little bit messy, so that's totally fine. But just so you know, that's how you would go about embedding a calendar and a Typeform and a YouTube video inside of your beautiful website. Now, additionally, just a few things you might have noticed is, I've included a quick little video of myself here instead of just using images. I've also included some little animations. So this is just a little GIF of me. If you're interested in learning how to make a GIF of yourself, I'm going to link you to my YouTube video where I go through this. And then also any other animations that you can grab from within Canva. If you just put in any search term over here, so I'm just putting the word blob, you can use the filtering functions to only look at animated elements, not just static, and it will give you basically anything that's within Canva, within the graphics section that's moving, that will really bring your website to life. Now, at any stage as you're designing, you can click the preview function and look at things with or without navigation and on desktop and mobile. I don't find this to be very accurate. I would prefer to publish it before you go through that because it doesn't really work as well as it should. So I would go ahead and publish that and say, yes, I want it to resize on mobile. I want it to be without navigation. I'm happy with that. And then at this stage, this is what would be in my browser tab because that's what I've named the design. Obviously, you would name that more appropriately, but in this case I'm happy with that because it's just a template, and I would just hide my website from search engines because this is just a template. But if you want it to be searchable on Google, if people are looking up your name, then this is your option to untick that so people can actually find your portfolio website. So this is how it's going to look on desktop with the video auto playing and looping in the back there. It's got a little bit of a text over here. This video is also autoplaying, so this is why you want it to make sure that it's set on autoplay and loop. Otherwise, it's going to have that play button there. My GIFs will be there. My videos are over here. Any testimonials, any additional links. And now I'm just going to go through and actually fill out my Typeform and my Calendly as a prospective client so I can show you what the email notifications actually look like once it comes through on the back end. And then I've got some other ways that I can connect with myself online. So now if I shrink this down, I can see what this would look like on mobile. It's not 100% accurate, I have to say that. So generally I try to actually look at it on my phone to see how it stacks, because I know it's not always accurate. There will be some little glitchy things, but generally speaking, things do stack relatively nicely. If things are a little bit all over the place on your mobile template, so for example, these reviews might look a little bit funny, or any of these kind of services look a little bit funny, what I would do is just group elements together. So what I mean by that is sometimes if elements are a little bit too close together, it won't know to stack them on top of each other. And sometimes either just spreading them out and moving them away from each other, or alternatively also just pairing them together in a grouping. So I could just say this is one group, this is another group, and this is another group. That sometimes helps Canva to think, okay, I'm going to stack these on top of each other instead of having them all squished into one tiny screen next to each other. So now just having a look at the email that's come through from Typeform, this is how it would look in your inbox, where you can see what people have filled out. And then through Calendly, I also got an email to say I've got a new event scheduled on my calendar. That's a strategy session with this person. That's their name. And then if they were going to also have additional questions to answer, I would see those all over here. And that's it for today's training on how to make a powerful website all within Canva. I hope you really enjoyed it. Let me know what you thought in the comments and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future tutorials just like this one. Thank you so much for being here and giving me your time today, and I hope to see you in another video again soon.